Hello and welcome to KennyRoy.com. I'm Kenny Roy. This is the Ask Video Mail for the week of November 5th, 2012. Welcome to the site to all you new members, and welcome back to the old. The Ask Video Mail is your chance to get your question in character animation or performance answered in a video just like this one, but I need your question if I'm going to answer it, so please send your questions to webmaster@KennyRoy.com. There's no such thing as a stupid question, and it is the best way to get the most out of your subscription here on the site. I even like to receive my files, so if you're stuck on your file, something is giving you trouble, don't worry, send it in, and maybe I will put it into a video just like this one. I did say hello to all the new members. There are some new members here that have been taking advantage of the free 30-day trial. If you signed up in the month of October, you were automatically entered into a drawing to have a lifetime membership here on KennyRoy.com. You probably signed up because you knew about that. However, I was going to announce it today, is the 5th, but I'm going to wait until the live webcast where I'm going to be doing part 2 of my demo reel review. That's this Thursday from noon to 2 p.m. Pacific here on KennyRoy.com. Bring all your friends. I think we had 100 people last time. I'd love to have 100 again. You can go ahead and add your name to the queue, to the list in the forum if you want to sign up, and we will do the same thing. We'll go through the list for the first hour, and then we'll do kind of random for the second hour. But again, that's free for everybody to watch on KennyRoy.com. Right on the homepage is where it will be, so check that out. It was my birthday last week. I got a ton of birthday wishes on my Facebook. That's really nice of you. Thank you if you did that. Felt really good. I went on vacation, a much needed vacation. Actually, I've been running and gunning for a full year now without kind of a break. And as you know, I'm involved in a lot of things, so I needed a little bit of rest. But I'm back, I'm excited, and I'm here to answer your questions. Really, if you haven't, because there are a lot of free trial members that we're hoping to score that lifetime membership, if you haven't sent in a video mail question, you really ought to. It's you know, I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of like getting personal instruction one-on-one, and it's totally built into the the subscription fee. So if you're here on the trial, just send a question in. Doesn't matter if you think it's silly. It might give me an idea of something that I want to expand on, something I want to talk further about in animation or performance. So just send it in. I love to get your questions. Thanks a lot. Let's see. Let's get to the question. It's kind of more of like an overarching 10,000-foot view of animation as a whole, but I think it's really valuable. So let's take a look. Well, you know what? I've said time and time again, and this actually, I only took basically the question part of this, but let me read on a little bit. Actually, I'm going to read the whole email to you, but it doesn't fit on that blue screen that I show. So I'm going to read the whole thing to you so you can get it. I will start with the question for quote. I will start with the question first. If you were to start over again, how would you approach teaching yourself animation? You are all about workflow, knowing what you know. What would your workflow look like if you had to start over again with limited hours a week? Unfortunately, why am I asking? I'm fairly new to animation. I have 20, maybe 30 hours a week to practice. Just a side note, that's a lot of time. So just saying. I work full time and I'm very much involved with family. Here are some examples of what I'm doing to teach myself. My first approach was to learn Maya. After being comfortable with Maya, I put the computer away and read, watched tutorials on animation. Now I'm practicing from many examples that exist, books, video tutorials, there are many online tutorials. Your site has helped me move forward in huge strides. I love all of your suggestions, especially doing 1 to 2 seconds of animation at a time. My next step will be to write 10-second shorts and try to copy animated movies. Any suggestions would be tremendously appreciated. Okay. So that's the whole thing. First thing I want to point out is, yeah, I have recommended, I say this over and over and over, I say this all the time, that you have to take on just way more of less, okay? do a ton of tiny little things. And I've said it this way before as well, which is if I had to go back and had my memory erased, and I could keep one piece of knowledge that I know about animation right now, it would be to do more of less. Okay, to do many, 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 many tiny little things. Because like most animators, I started out wanting to do everything, wanting to basically, shoot for the moon and hit it, right? And last month's lecture was talking all about how we kind of fall on our faces when we start teaching ourselves, because we start off with this idea of the end product, and we try to create that end product in order to practice getting to that end product, and that's not how you practice. So it's definitely a moment of it was definitely a realization that I wish I had a lot earlier, that I should have stopped doing all of these things. Like I would model characters, and then I would try to rig them and skin them and write my own things. This is right in the beginning. There weren't characters that were shared around. Even when, see, in the beginning, Maya was completely out of reach. It was $16,000 for an annual license, okay? This is back when Alias owned Maya, okay? And I was part of a lot of online forums, but all those forums used 3ds Max. This is around 3ds Max like 1.2 to like 2, okay? And even then, people were kind of sharing files between each other, but it wasn't like it is today, where you have like a repository and there is a fully like created model with textures and a rig, and it's ready to use and whatever. There was nothing like that. So I had to go about try to create it all myself, and that's. Man, that can really stop you. It can kill you, because trying to learn all of modeling and all of UVing and texturing, and then creating a bone system and then a rig and then skinning it, and then only finally then animating it. After all that, just how much more energy do you have, and how much of your precious time, your precious little time, was wasted on those things instead of telling the stories you want to. So, all that said, what would my workflow look like? This was a question specifically about workflow. And the simple answer is, well, I'd hope that my workflow was exactly the same if I had to learn all over again with a limited amount of time, as it is right now. I would hope that the workflow that I've settled on is not just the product of a lot of experience, but also a really good workflow to follow from the beginning. And in some ways it's true, in some ways it's not. It's not because there are some things that I don't have to do because I do have that experience. But there is an overall commitment to workflow that is applicable to all beginners. There is that decision that you're not learning how to make like an entire movie start to finish on your own. You're trying to learn how to be an animator. And you are not the product of your shots. Like, you can't go to a studio and sell them your demo reel. Like, they won't give you money for that DVD. You're not actually your shots that are in your hand. You are your workflow. You arrive at ILM or whatever, and they've seen the shots on your reel, but that has indicated to them that you are the kind of person that, if given a week, you can finish a week's worth of animation just like all the rest of the people that they have working there. Ergo, your workflow is strong enough that you can step onto production and make them money, make them create shots that they put into their film, and then they get paid by their client, or if it's like a feature film, like, well, we're talking about ILM, if it's Rango, you know, then they sell that film themselves, okay? So you can't rest on what you've done. The only thing you can rest on is your workflow. So if you have that commitment to workflow overall, and you have that from the beginning, which is constantly, when you sit down at your animation, you don't say, what does this one shot need? What do I have to do to this? Like, oh my gosh, I'm not quite good enough an animator yet because this and this and this and all these things I can point out. Yes, you're not going to be a fantastic animator until you're done, okay? Until you're done learning, or until you get to a certain point where your workflow is producing like feature level stuff. But you can sit down and say, okay, not what does this shot need, but where am I? Where am I in my process right now? Don't look at the screen, look at your workflow that you've hopefully written down or typed out and printed out, all right? Just say, where am I right now? Okay, I just tried to, I only had like 4 hours yesterday, all right? And I tried to block this creature, let's say. I tried to block the creature ignoring all the legs and just block the waist and the shoulders kind of through the scene, kind of chess piece it through the scene. And I only had 4 hours, and I set about doing that. And it proved way harder. I need to see those footfalls because I get distracted or whatever it is. And so then you say, okay, all right, well, this is not going to work. Let's try this now. Doesn't matter what the shot looks like, doesn't matter. You say, let's try this now. All right, this time, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to reblock this whole thing. And this time, I'm going to take the feet and I'm going to try to like determine where those footfalls are. Maybe what I'll do is I'll create a locator wherever like I put those feet, and then I'll just do simple poses in the body and then just make those footfalls work. Maybe that's what I'll do, okay? And then the next day, you sit down, you don't look at the shot and go, oh God, this is so far from being done, and just start working on it. No, no, no. You say, okay, where am I here? All right, this is what I tried. And, you know, I think I discovered something. For the slow shots, it's a lot better that I use the root and I kind of chess piece it through and forget about the footfalls because I can figure them out. But for the fast sections or for really fast shots, those footfalls are everything, because you can't have someone move faster through the shot than their stride length, you know, if they're walking, or, you know, you have to determine that stride length if they're running. So, wow, that's interesting. Now I can split my workflow into like two little like forks, two little like, well, if it's a fork, like two little prongs on that fork. And that's the way, and that's part of my workflow. If I'm working on a shot and it's extremely important that the character gets from A to B in that shot, well, normally what I'll do is I'll say like, okay, can he do it with a walk? Does he have to pick up the pace? Maybe do it with like a trot or a couple skipping steps? Does it have to be a full run? You have to test that stride length if it's a really physical or fast, important A to B shot. Right? Because you'll get some of those. You'll get the performance shots and the character's acting all wiggly giggly, and then you'll get the one where it's like, you know, in the middle of the chase, and it comes out the door and runs and grabs the thing off of the shelf, and you have 28 frames to do it, right? So you have to get them into position. So there you just learn something about shots. You didn't learn something about this shot. You learned something about shots in general. You learned something about when you have a certain aspect of animation, what your workflow does for that. Like what path your workflow takes. Now, workflow is not actually like a linear list. It's more like a pegboard. If you ever played Plinko, I think that's the game, Plinko. On Price is Right, where they have that board and they have those little circular discs, and they drop them down, and there's all those pegs. You know, that's more what a workflow looks like. And each one of those pegs is like an animated moment. Is it a character that has 2 legs or 4? Is it a female character or a male character? Because they move differently. Is it physical, or is it more like an emotional shot? All those things. Okay. if you don't have, see all those pegs that are on that board, if you don't have an answer for all those pegs, then your disk is it's going to get stuck there. It's just going to stuck, and then you're not going to know what to do. You're going to have to brute force it and just work it out somehow, right? But if you've given yourself like 100 2-second, 3-second little tests, okay, that you do, then you have answers for all of those problems. You see the difference here? All of those different choices and different like moments in animation, you only have as many of those on your board, on your workflow, as tests that you've done. So I guess to wrap everything up, my main answer is that the suggestion to do like 2 to 3 second shots is absolutely the most important thing that I can tell you, that I can impart on you. If you're learning animation right now, you have to be doing that. I would give one little itty bitty caveat to all of that and say that I wish I had done more personal things. Now, everything I did was personal. Everything I did was like, I tried to do like a dozen shorts, and like, you know, I stopped at modeling like 10 times, right? But if I had known that there were so many people out there that are learning modeling and really want to texture and whatever, I would have tried harder to put together small teams of people that had all of the disciplines covered. Like, we have a modeler and a texturer, and I'll animate, someone else will light it, someone else will render it, and then we'll do like a 15, 20-second thing, and it'll be, you know, it'll be all like 2 and 3 second shots. It'll be pretty cutty, it won't be epic, and we'll just do it like over and over and over. Instead of getting caught myself up in modeling and lighting and all that stuff, I wish I had done more personal things that were achievable by a larger group of people. If I could bring back 2 things, it would be, 1, do tiny little shots, okay? And then be clever and assemble a team of people that you can work with. One person who can model, another person who can rig, you animate, and that kind of thing. And then be kind of, you know, ingenious by creating, you know, a 20-second short that you can do together. But that short should have like 8 to 10 shots in it. Meaning, so that 20 seconds is between, you know, all those shots are like between 2 and 3 seconds long. You see that? And then you have a dozen of them on your plate that you can just go through, and they're all different. You see that? See how much more practice you get than doing, like, if you're trying to learn, you're trying to start right now, and you're like, all right, I understand Maya, and this is great that you taught yourself Maya and you're comfortable with Maya, that's great and all, but the normal path is someone goes like, oh, I understand Maya, so now I'm going to enter in the 11-second club. See the problem there? See the difference there? It's a big difference, and it's a big problem. So anyway, that would be my advice. Thank you for asking that great question. Please send in more questions, guys. I love to have them, and I love to see your Maya files. If you get stuck, take advantage of it while you're on your free trial, and I hope you continue here with your subscription on KennyRoy.com, regardless if you win the lifetime membership or not. Love to have you. The community growing can only mean more and better things for everybody here. Working hard. I hope you're appreciating, and I appreciate you. So good luck with your animation, and as always, rock on.